Metal Gear Solid Delta recently got its 1.1.4 patch and runs even better on the Steam Deck, burning out a lot of those nasty 19 FPS areas, though it still struggles to reach 30 FPS consistently. Let's waste no time and dive right into how I've gotten Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater to run on the original Steam Deck. For the uninitiated, Delta is a 1-to-1 remake of Metal Gear Solid 3 from back on the PS2, chronicling Naked Snake's journey to stop a nuclear war, take out his former mentor, and become the man known as Big Boss. There are a few new features here and there, like the crouch walk introduced in Guns of the Patriots and a redone version of Snake Eater by Cynthia Harrell, but for all intents and purposes, it's the same game, but looking a lot better. When this first launched on PC, the Steam Deck could handle the game okay, but with very large compromises. 60 FPS is a bit out of reach for the remake, so we're gonna target 30. You can raise it to 60 with the Lossless scaling mod, but the amount of input lag you get is far too much. 60 FPS isn't worth it to have over a full second of delay between hitting a button and the game responding. Let's go into settings, which is basically just turn everything as low as it can go. Anti-aliasing needs to be set to TSR, as it will get a solid 10 plus more frames than FSR will. Upscaling needs to be on performance, and I turn everything off that doesn't need to be there, like bloom and motion blur. I would also suggest you set the frame rate to 60 and not 30. Even though we're targeting 30, some areas will net you FPS in the 30s and 40s. The first thing you have to be able to stomach here is how the visuals look. A lot of Delta is green foliage, and while I think it looks somewhat acceptable while playing the Steam Deck as a handheld, it looks really rough when connected to a TV, even something as small as the 24-inch one I use. You can get used to it, but whenever you walk around or move the camera, it does not look good at all. Next is performance, which I find to be acceptable. You should expect this game to be all over the place, but mostly stay around 30 FPS. Here is exploration at Rosvat during the Virtuous Mission. When you're around these boxes and bodies, the frame rate drops to around 28 FPS. But when you're not around them, it mostly sticks to 30 to 33, only occasionally dropping under 30. Here is the same area again during the Ocelot battle. When crawling underneath the building, you're getting a range of about 28 to 30, but the moment you go outside and get into an active firefight with this group, it tanks down into the 20s. Sometimes it would even drop to 17 FPS before going back up to the 20 to 30 range, which is not great for a game with shooting mechanics. But if you take a stealthier approach here and stay under the building until their numbers are down so far, you'll mostly be looking at around 25 to 30 FPS for these encounters. And that's pretty much the same across the whole game. Small fights in the outdoor areas are okay at 25 to 30 FPS, and it's larger fights that really drops the frame rate. Though indoor areas are all fine. The cave you trek through before fighting the pain ran at 40 to 44 FPS the entire time for me, even when running around with the torch. And the warehouse just past that area maintained FPS above 30 as well, even when I was running around getting shot at and throwing people on the ground with CQC. Even the boss fight with the pain that has all those hornets flying around maintained FPS above 30 for most of the fight, only occasionally dropping to 28. The only other problem area I found was the water where the hovercraft guards are introduced. This water area has a lot of drops into the 20s, and on initial release would tank the frame rate below 20 FPS as well. If you don't take out that first hovercraft and swim through the area, you'd easily hit 19 FPS and it would stay in that 19 to 24 range. But if you do the same thing on the newest patch, the underwater traveling will be 27 to 30 FPS, and you'll only get those lower frame rates when you get out of the water. Granted, a drop to 21 FPS is still rough, but the area no longer drops down to 19. All of this tells us one thing. You play stealthy and fight small groups, and the frame rate is acceptably playable, only getting rough when you trip alarms and have to fight larger groups. I won't say this is good, because it certainly isn't. 20 to 30 FPS is not smooth at all, but it's playable. And considering how much foliage is in this game, I was expecting it to run much worse. Next up is battery life, which also isn't great. Like many other recent titles, Metal Gear Solid Delta eats up the battery, only offering the original Steam Deck model around 1 hour and 30 minutes of battery life on a single charge. Now, as we wrap this up, would I recommend Metal Gear Solid Delta to Steam Deck users? I don't know. really just for a small audience that really want to play the remake on the go on their Steam Deck. The game is playable enough with large sacrifices to visuals, and you'll need to adapt to frame rates that will frequently drop into the 20s. But this is only if you want to play Delta specifically on the go, as the original Metal Gear Solid 3 via the Master Collection will easily run at a locked 30 FPS on Switch and a locked 60 on the Steam Deck. If you found this helpful, check out my recent Steam Deck coverage of Final Fantasy IX, and if you enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next one.